today I'm just a drop of water.
Random acts of kindness may happen every day, but few go above and beyond the way one kind act did yesterday. A Winnipeg woman found herself in a serious jam, and the incredible gesture from a stranger brought her to tears.
Wednesday, Smith left her car running when she stepped inside 7-Eleven to grab a coffee. The only set of keys for her car inside.
It was frustrating and overwhelming, and I just fell apart right here at 7-Eleven with my coffee.
After an hour of trying to convince others to break her car window, Smith used a payphone to call a locksmith. She was trying to convince him to help her at a reduced rate when a woman approached her and handed her $70.
She insisted I took the money. I absolutely fell apart right there.
With the money to pay a locksmith, Cola was free within 15 minutes. And as luck would have it, life seemed to be back on track. Now, Smith wants to return the money to that kind stranger and says the gesture is inspiring her to give others in their time of need.
I'm running down a mountainside. Come tomorrow, I'll be in the ocean. I'll be rising with the morning tide. There's a ghost upon the moor tonight. Now it's in our house. When you walked into the room just then, it's like the sun came out.
Every day I end each show with a reminder to be kind to one another, and this next story is a perfect example of how one small act of kindness can go a very long way. Come on down, Kelly McGuire. Your story is great. So you live in Chicago, and you were coming home from a Bears game,
Yes.
right? Okay, so tell everyone what happened.
Okay, so I was coming home from the Bears game, and we were trying to hurry to our train because I'm really last second. I always do that. Oh, it's bad. But we're hurrying, and I see a homeless woman, and I passed her. I crossed the street, and I stopped, and I grabbed my husband, and I said, listen, I'm about to do something crazy. I can't explain it, but I need to give this woman my boots. He's like, okay, crazy. And so...
It's cold outside.
Yeah, it's freezing. And she didn't want to talk at first. I kind of had to make her feel like I was a safe person, and we began to connect with one another. And it was really special. And we only had a few moments together, but I told her, I had seen her sign once I got back across the street, and it said that she needed warm clothes and she needed some winter boots. And I could just see it in her eyes. She was so thankful, and she started to cry. And I said, I want to give you my boots too. I'm just going to sit down right next to you. And so I took them off.
And you both had the same size.
Yes, yeah. So I asked her, and I thought, this is real. I believe that, you know, like right place, right time, timing. And this was that moment.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, Amy, I hope you have a great year. I hope you stay warm, and I hope things turn around for you. And she said, but what about your feet? You know, I don't want your feet to be cold. Can I give you my old boots? And it gives me the chills, like even just talking about right now, I don't know how to not be emotional about it, because that's an emotional thing. She gave me her only thing.
That she was...
I'm an atom in a sea of nothing, looking for another to come by. Maybe we could be the start of something, be together at the start of time.
The Minnesota State Patrol says a woman is alive today because of the quick actions of 3 Good Samaritans.
The trio stopped to help pull a woman out of a burning SUV after it veered off the road and hit a tree.
Sean Caron was driving south on Interstate 35 near Sandstone when he noticed the SUV, 2 vehicles in front of him, was drifting off the blacktop, heading towards a ditch.
They tried to overcorrect, ended up going back down at about 65 miles an hour, swerving back and forth until eventually Francis lost control and hit a tree head on. Slammed on my brakes. I ended up running out of the car, Person in front of me did the same thing when they stopped.
Sean says he ran to the door and saw the 67-year-old driver was conscious.
I started feeling a warmth on my legs and looked down, and there were flames coming out of the bottom of the car. So I said, well, I more or less screamed, man, we got to get you out of this car right now. I ended up trying to pick her up, brought her out of the car, but she slipped out of my arms and fell back into the flames. At that point, adrenaline kind of kicked in. I grabbed her right by the shirt. I just kind of like tried to toss her out, and by that time 3 people were right by my aid and helped me pick her up.
Before the driver was flown to Minneapolis for care, Sean did get to speak with her.
One thing that she said to me was, thank you, because you and God were there for me. Aside from Minnesota nice, human beings are empathetic. Human beings do feel love towards one another, and I think that's something that we saw here.
There's a ghost upon the moor tonight. Now it's in our house. But when you walked into the room just then, it's like the sun came out. It's like the sun came out.
This picture is all over the internet.
He was just a guy that needed comfort.
21-year-old Godfrey Couto got on the bus in Hamilton and was offered a handshake from a man he only knows as Robert last Tuesday. When Godfrey returned his hand to Robert, the man who has cerebral palsy and is deaf didn't want to let go.
Godfrey says he allowed Robert to rest his head on his shoulder and hold his hand for about a 30-minute bus ride from downtown Hamilton to Eastgate Square.
Godfrey admits the situation made him uncomfortable, so why did he do it?
Well, I was raised by like a very Catholic religious family. Through my upbringing, they taught me, put your peers' needs above yours.
We caught up to Godfrey's mother at work.
Very, very proud. What? Sorry? Well, I taught my son too how to be good, like what my parents taught me.
I challenge Hamilton to share the love. Gotta put others' needs in front of yours, Just be giving, It's Thanksgiving, gotta be giving.
An act of kindness Godfrey will certainly never forget, but will likely be remembered for.